Tuesday, January 10th. I'd like to call to order the Westborough Economic Development Committee meeting. First on our agenda this morning, we have approval of the minutes from the December 6th meeting. Does anybody have any comments or questions as it relates to the minutes, and has everybody had a chance to review them?
Make a motion to approve the minutes, please.
Second that.
All right, we have a motion seconded. Since we are doing a hybrid meeting, if you could just call off your last name and give your vote, please, we would appreciate it. So I'll start. Alexander, yes?
Bagden, yes.
Zeph, yes.
Rothams, yes. Burrow, yes. Leonardo, yes.
Kenny, yes.
Rayleigh, yes.
Great, thank you all very much. So first on our agenda today, or second on our agenda today, we have a guest presentation. We have Kelly Petralia from Westborough Connects. Kelly, welcome. Come on up. Yeah, come on up. Yeah, we'd love to get you front and center here.
Excellent. Great to be here today. I know many of you, but nice to meet the folks that I don't believe I've met you before, but thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, Westborough Connects is a grassroots nonprofit here in Westborough with a really hyper-local focus. We organized a little over 5 years. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. 5 years, actually approaching 6 years now in May. And our mission is really about building community connection and really kind of promoting a sense of everybody belonging in this community, whether you've been here forever and multi-generations or you're new here, whether you're old, you're new, young, you're building a family or you're retiring, whatever that might be, your life stage. So we focus on the strengths of the community, and we really try to work together with others to address challenges, to bring people together who may not otherwise have an opportunity to be together, just to not to necessarily have everybody be friends with each other, but to be a little bit more familiar with each other. And over the last 5 years, we've been really building relationships on the individual level with people, getting to know organizations, town committees, my first time here, and the people that really make this town so fantastic in the organizations. Getting to know some of the businesses. This is kind of a start of maybe officially getting to know on a broader scale, but certainly we've met with a lot of businesses and other groups in town. So how we do our work, and then I'll talk a little bit about like what we actually do in the community, but we really have a collaborative approach. Everything we do pretty much is in partnership with others, whether that's with a business, with a nonprofit, with volunteers from the community, whether they've been involved with Westborough Connects before or not. We welcome people to join us in our work, and we also really welcome and encourage them to help direct our work. So we do a lot of listening and talking to people and just kind of hearing from their pieces of the community what's going on and what we could do that could extend the arms and legs of people that individually can't do as much, but together can do a lot. And again, I said we have a hyper-local focus, so we promote local in everything we do. So what we do programs and events. We've done over 40 programs in the last 5 years. Those span our annual events, we have one next week, Martin Luther King celebration that we do with the Westborough Interfaith Clergy, the schools, and Central Mass Connections and Faith, and we bring people together for a celebration of Martin Luther King's legacy. And so I hope that you'll be able to join us next week. It's going to be really fun. I can tell you about it more if you have questions. So in addition to that, as an annual program, we have 3 other annual programs. We do a Kindness Week, which many of you may be familiar with and have partnered with us. We look to businesses and organizations to partner, and really the theme is like, kindness is a grounding value that we have, we all share. And there's a lot of attention that's given to maybe some of the things that divide us, some of the things that pull us apart or challenge us, but kindness gives us an opportunity, Kindness Week gives us an opportunity to kind of galvanize around a value that is sort of core to us as humans and that we all value, and say this is how Westborough is and this is what we do. And then we have a Westborough Unplugged Week, which is a national screen-free week. We do a local adaptation of that here in May, just kind of celebrating all the things that there are to do outside of our screens. It's not about telling people that They shouldn't be on their screens, although, we do spend too much time on our screens. But we do things like partner with the Community Land Trust to lead a trail walk, or we did a Booking It to Bay State event where, just bring your book and read in community. You don't have to read together as a group, but just bring your lawn chair and a food and whatnot. And then this past fall, we resurrected a program that we did right before COVID, which is now called Westborough for Life, Stay, Connect, Thrive. And the focus on that is really about what brings us and keeps us in Westborough. So maybe you've been here all your life, maybe you moved here so your kids could be part of the schools, whatever it is. But as you kind of travel the stages and phases of your life, what keeps you in Westborough and maybe connects you in a new and different way. So we had an expo with over 50 exhibitors, from choral groups to the women's club to the civic club to some businesses that focus on wellness. And then we had the pickleball club come and give demonstrations, and badminton and Zumba and things like Bollywood dance. So those are our annual programs. And then we have what we call a Square One collaboration, which is with the schools, Westborough Public Schools, Youth and Family Services, the Public Library, and the Rotary Club of Westborough. And that really focuses on programming and resources to build resilience in our community. And what I mean by that is really substance use prevention and education, and mental and behavioral health things. So we do a lot of programs around that. We also have a newsletter that goes out to almost 1,700 emails at this point, and it's a monthly newsletter that highlights things like the passport program that the EDC just did last month. We highlight free events that are open to all, and they're not necessarily our events, although we obviously promote our events as well. But whatever's going on in the community that's open and has an opportunity for people to participate in. We also will promote, like I just put in the newsletter this month, there are a lot of offices that are open, elected offices in town, and you can pull nomination papers. So we share that link, and if you need to see what those offices are, you can click on the link and get more information. Town meeting, the warrants, things like that. And then in our newsletter, we also share sort of examples of our mission, which again is a thriving, kind, and connected community. Examples and then inspiration for things that relate to that. Let's see. And then I'll stop talking in a few minutes. But we also share resources, and some of them we develop together with others, like mental health resources. We share out if, like, for example, when the new 911 mental health hotline happened, we felt that was really important to put out a bulletin. During the lockdown of COVID, we actually did a weekly newsletter where we were pointing people to the Board of Health, to meetings that were happening through Westborough TV. We also, if the food pantry, how could you donate to the food pantry, things like that. So again, it's all about a hyper-local focus of support for the community. And then why we do this because at this point in time, we live in a really kind of fragmented society. We know that. We are in our own silos. We are doing great things. A lot of people, a lot of organizations doing great things, but we are in our silos. And especially with COVID-19, we're becoming less familiar with each other. And as humans, we are wired for connection. We're wired for human connection. When we have less of an opportunity to be together, loneliness perpetuates itself, social isolation perpetuates itself, and when we aren't around each other, we have less of an inclination to be around people who are different from us, be around people that have different ideas from us. So that's really what drives us. We care about this community. We know that a local community, a local business community is really, really important to what makes a thriving, happy, healthy community. I usually have my prop here, but I have a book by the U.S. Surgeon General. It's called Together by Vivek Murthy, and it really talks all about this importance of connection at the community level, at the personal level, and at a broader level. So I encourage you to look at that book. It's called Together. I guess that's about it. What's kind of next for us? We just finished a 3-year strategic plan with an organization called One Worcester Foundation. They gave us a consultant, pro bono consultant, to develop a strategic plan for us. We're really excited about that. And sort of on the heels of what I said about why we do this, we're going to be exploring something we're calling bridging differences and divides. And it's really about bringing people together in conversation that it's not about like what the conversation is, but more about the nature and how we approach conversations. So things like Indigenous Peoples Day and Columbus Day can not be as painful for us, or the library renovation, that we're still going to have those conversations, and we may not agree on how to get there, but if we approach them in a way that has more empathy and more of a recognition that we all care about this community, we just might not agree on how to get there together. So there are some experts, we are not them, but there are some experts that do this bridging work, and so we're exploring that. And we're working with some community stakeholders to join us in that, because we don't want to do that alone. We'd love to help lead it, but we won't do it alone. And then we're working on sustainability as an organization. So getting out there, telling our story, aligning with businesses and organizations that might be in a position to support our work, and then reaching out to businesses to also partner for Kindness Week and other things that really require a community-wide involvement. So that is, I did a lot of talking. I hope that's okay.
Well, I've just become familiar with Westborough Connects really over the last couple of months, and the programs that you run and the collaboration that you do is very impressive, so kudos to you and the rest of the organization.
Thank you.
I think it's a great group, and you're doing a lot for the community, and if there's any way we can collaborate with you, I'm
Yeah.
sure would love to continue do that in whatever way we can. I also did sign up for the newsletter. I'd encourage any of the other members here to do the same. It's good to see what they have going on and stuff. Any questions for Kelly or comments or anything?
Yes, do you have a website?
Yes, we do. Westborough Connects, OUGH.org. And then the newsletter is also a really great way. We also have a Facebook page, which is relatively new, and there's not a ton of content on there. We really just use it to promote our events, mainly because we don't have the resources to manage it. It's a full-time job.
I just want to say, this is Holly. The work that Kelly and her team do, if you guys have not checked it out, you really need to. It's amazing. I don't know how we've gotten by in Westborough for 5 years without them, because the resources, the collaborations, it's truly, truly amazing. So Kelly, you do great work. Your whole team
Thank you,
does.
Holly. Thank you.
I have to agree. I think that you're right. There's so many great things going on in this community, but it's tough to tie them all together. So I think that's important work, and you don't really realize it until it starts happening. So it's great.
Yeah. You try to do that too.
All right.
I just wanted to ask a little bit more about Kindness Week, and
Yes.
particularly like the role that businesses play in Kindness Week, because yeah, I'm just a little curious to know. I mean, I've heard about it, I've seen it, but I think it
Yes.
might be helpful to.
Great, and I think also our Westborough for Life is something hopefully we'll come back and talk to. Westborough for Life, Stay, Connect, Thrive too. But so we have a program as part of Kindness Week called Partners in Kindness, and this year we had over 50. Last year we had over 60. Essentially just, we want businesses, organizations to pick up the theme of kindness. We don't even have the resources to like manage what that means per se, but we have businesses like Yummy Mummy does like a buy one brownie and get one, or buy one cookie and get a cookie to share to somebody who's kind, or businesses will pick up the theme of kindness within their own organizations for the week. We've had a lot of different involvement, whether that's to the like the general public, where like the library will host programs that are themed around kindness. We have we've even made connections between, like, we connected the Highlands with an art, a woman who owns like an art business, and then connected them with Tatnuk to host an open card making session with all these beautiful, amazing kind of things. So it's really about kind of fostering and helping these things happen, make connections, not to necessarily direct and say what happens within like the framework of Kindness Week. We also look for business like sponsorship of Kindness Week as well. We had a number of businesses just step up without even asking this year, in groups to support, which is great. But we are open to working with the businesses. And actually, I think I mentioned this, I know I did with you, like, it would be great to know how to communicate best with the businesses, because we have our list of go-tos or people that have approached us, and we sort of reach out to them when we have a program. We say, how do you like that? And say, how do you want to be involved? But we miss people. Right? And there are people that don't have that opportunity to, and we certainly don't want to be like a selective group, where we're only allowing certain people to be involved. I don't know if that answered your question, but I can give you more examples of the business involvement in Kindness Week.
No, I think that was great. I also
Okay.
just wanted, folks on the board who might not be as familiar to get a sense of what Kindness Week is.
Yeah.
And I sort of wanted to pivot the conversation a little bit towards more tactical things that we might be able to do to, support your organization and
Yeah.
vice versa. It seemed like Kindness Week
It's
is
great,
an
yeah.
opportunity for that.
And so, like, another example is Red Barn. They gave the DPW gift cards to come in and get a free cup of coffee. And so they came to us and asked us, like, how could we do something? And we said, you know what, the DPW is not always recognized, and, you could go do that. And we had New England Recovery Center is a sponsor of ours, a community sponsor. They wanted to get involved, and we said, this is actually an amazing story. They had their clients who are in 30, 60, 90-day detox right now from substances, made cards, kindness cards, basically affirming, human value, little cards that said, you are enough, or you are awesome. And then they blanketed them all over the parking lot I think it was in the Tatnuck Julio's parking lot. And so here are people that are in crisis, in a place where they are trying to kind of do what they can for themselves, and then they were giving of themselves. So they came to us and said, do you have an idea? And that was the idea, so.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great.
Wow.
It's very nice.
Just have one more comment or question, if it's okay. Is do you have any ideas or asks for how the EDC might be able to support or collaborate with Westborough Connects? I know that I feel like right now, for those of you who aren't, Kelly and I talk when they're doing. We really are, I think, an information sharing relationship right now. We'll promote when they've got something going on. They also promote when we've got something going on. And I'm wondering if that's the right level of partnership in your opinion, or if, we should be doing something else or something more.
Well, I think, and this isn't about like tooting Westborough Connect's horn or anything, but I think that this is an asset to the community, Westborough Connects. And again, this is more than just me. It's more than just our board. This is like, the community coming together for a better. And I think that that's something that the EDC could use to its advantage as it's talking to businesses about bringing, folks here, bringing new businesses here, and just kind of promoting a business-friendly community. I would love to see closer partnership and more, like I said, the information sharing is great because we end up knowing who we know, and we keep building and meeting new people and all that, but we are a small shop. So to the degree that, you already share some of the things, but yeah, I think information sharing right now, I think if there is the opportunity for us to, like I saw on the agenda, there's an evening nights thing coming up or something, I don't know.
Still a very preliminary idea,
Okay.
but yes.
But I think we'd love to be there if possible, or even like the winter stroll or something. That would be great to just, again, every opportunity we have to be in front of the public. We're also doing information sharing, resource sharing about youth and family services, about town departments, things that are here that are, make this community great. So, so yeah, and if you ever do a video again about what's great about Westborough, we'd love to be considered for that and things like that. But yeah, we just love business input even in our programs. We also need space, like we do meetings wherever we can. We don't have any space, and we wouldn't spend our money on rent, and we're just too small for that. So,
That was helpful, thank you.
okay.
Quick question, sorry. Kelly, when you meet, how big are your meetings? How many people usually attend?
Well, Our events or just our meetings?
Just your meetings.
So we have 3 part-time staff. I'm the executive director, and then we have a program manager and a volunteer engagement coordinator. We try to work together at least once a week for a chunk of time, and then we have, I have a lot of coffees at Red Barn, and we'll be at Cha-Cha and Bean and whatnot, or Panera, everywhere. So they can range from 2 people to, like, our board meetings up to 20. We have had larger brainstorm meetings up to like 40 people, and we'll do that, at the fire department, or Release Wellbeing has hosted us actually for one of our, actually most productive brainstorms ever, and back in their Bliss area. So, yeah.
Okay, just curious, thanks.
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah, sure. I really wanted to hold up Kelly and Westborough Connects. During the master plan process, you gave us a lot of visibility. I know our master plan committee chairman, Lester Hensley, worked with you to make sure that the community knew that we were having meetings. And prior to COVID, when we had our kickoff meeting, I know that your visibility helped us have over 200 people at our initial public hearing. So thank you for that. And I think the EDC could really benefit from using Kelly's resource.
Thank you. Thank you. And Jim, talking to you makes me remember, we recently worked with Youth and Family Services on a grant-funded project called Reach Out Westborough, which was all about building resiliency in the community at the individual level. And we did trainings on emotional resilience. We didn't actually do the trainings. We facilitated and worked with Youth and Family Services, and some of them were given to town departments. And so, Jim, you helped coordinate the town hall, one for the town hall. We did the library with the school department, and then we did a few for the community at large. That type of sort of resource sharing, so that people that work here, not just live here, know that there are resources available to them. That's also part of that information sharing, but also to give input into what is needed from the, who works here, what are the needs there. We think we have an idea, and we're going to be doing a lot more work around, the emotional and, behavioral and mental health piece of things, again, in collaboration with those folks I mentioned for Square One. So to the degree that you can have that feedback and input loop, that's great. And we were happy to help with the master plan, getting that word out and everything.
Yeah, the people who work in government know what they need to do. They just don't know who needs to hear that. They don't know who the groups are that are interested. So, for example, again, the master plan, a lot of people that I didn't know had interest in community development appeared either through email or on the phone with me to talk about what master planning and community planning is. And that's just as a result from your outreach to the community, because people would say, I heard about this through Westborough Connects. And so just putting people together, that word connects, really is, I think, valuable in your name, because it really is what people do. People don't know who to reach out to until they're made aware of the resources that are there for them in the community. So thank you. It was a big help in the master plan.
Thank you. It's great to hear that, because we know that quieter work goes on, and that's a piece of what we do, is meeting and saying, oh, you need to talk to this person. We do that a lot, actually, but it's nice to hear that when that happens. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Sorry, one last thing, Zach, just to follow up on how we can kind of come together. This is the kind of moment of the ambassador program. If there's someone from Connects that want to be part of that, that way they could see the new businesses come in, because you sit here every month and you rattle off, something, Otis Street is getting built, this is getting a permit, this is getting opened. You start hearing all these things, and that would help the Connect know what new businesses coming to town, might allow you to go in and go to them as, a multiple angle approach and connect. So just the thought, a way of bringing us together in a different way.
I think that's a very good idea.
I wrote down liaison to EDC, actually, as I was sitting here.
We're trying to.
Okay,
yeah, Kelly,
yeah.
I can send you after this meeting.
Peter's here, but
Yeah.
Peter.
Great.
We have an ambassador program. We actually just sort of reevaluated it and put together more of an official job description and everything of what the role is, and kind of the relationship that ambassadors have with the board. I'd be happy to share that with you, and I think it would be great if anyone from Westborough Connects would want to get involved in that kind of way.
Okay.
And I think could be, to Mark's point, a great opportunity to liaise between the EDC and Westborough Connects.
I think that sounds great.
Awesome. Great idea. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to hang out here for a little while until
Please
I have
do,
to go for
yeah.
my next meeting. Thanks.
All
Thanks,
right.
Kelly.
Let's see. So, next on the agenda, we have an update on the EDC Business Assistant Grant Program. We'll let Christy get settled. And
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
So we, in the most recent, we created the Business Assistant Grant revolving fund in 2018 at town meeting, and then we made changes to it, I think in 2019, and then again recently. We've recently had communication with the Attorney General's office that we won't be able to use that revolving account anymore, the way that it's set up. So the go forward would be to just create an article on town meeting that we would run the same type of program. It's just really the financing, the back side of it, that would be different than previously. So those funds, we could still speak to the fact that the money's coming in from the billboards. It just goes into the general fund, and then it would likely come out of taxation or free cash, so as a separate article. And so that's really what we wanted to talk about. So rather than that being part of our bylaws as a revolving account, it would just be a separate article that we would likely put on. We have a whole article, some of you know, that has subsections. We call them regularly recurring articles. It's like stocking of Sandra Pond. It's funding the 4th of July block party, things like that. So I would expect that this would at some point become one of those regularly recurring articles if the EDC were to move forward with that request of town meeting.
So, okay, so for whatever reason, we can't use the revolving
It's just
account?
that mechanism, that financial
Okay.
mechanism can't be used.
Okay, so the Attorney General's told us that we can't do that.
Yep.
So if I understand correctly, so we would have to submit this on an annual basis at town meeting in order to get funding for
Correct.
the program?
Yeah. Because it would be a separate article, it could span fiscal years, similar to how we've treated it
Yeah.
previously. So if we weren't to spend all of the money in one fiscal year, it would just hold in that article until it was spent.
Well, I think obviously the program has had great success, and I think it's something we want to continue. So if that's our only option, I would be all on board for doing that. As much as it is kind of a hassle to have to do that every year at town meeting, I think it's well worth it, and I would leave it to the rest of the board as your opinion and what you want to do. But if that's our only option,
Yeah,
my
sounds
feeling is let's do it.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
I mean, simple answer, I think.
Yeah, but we can't do any, so now the question is, what do we do with this quarter with the funds we have? We can't, everything's on hold, right? We
Right.
can't do anything
Right.
until the next town meeting, and
Right.
we submit that article, but then it has to be, then we still have to have, do we still have to have, oh, no, it's not, doesn't have to be approved by the Attorney General, right? If it's an,
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So
has
because
to be-
it exists in a bylaw,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
requires approval of the Attorney
Yeah.
General.
okay, so, I mean, I guess it also, having some downtime gives us an opportunity to reevaluate the program. I know there was some discussion on the rubric and what we want, if we wanted to make changes to that, so, it might give us an opportunity now to kind of reevaluate that and see if we want to make changes, so. What other people think?
I think that makes sense. I mean, it gives us an opportunity, I think, because the funds would still build, I would assume. So the money from this year would still be there for next year, in theory, or no?
Once it's approved.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
assuming
right.
assuming all this gets approved correctly, then we could look at working with what's the matching grant? In my brain is not.
Mass Vacant
Thank
Storefront
you.
Program.
And maybe max one of those out to the $10,000 and really help fill a storefront someplace, because we're gonna have some stuff coming up. We have some bigger spots coming open, I think, in the next few months.
Yeah. So the one risk we would run, though, is if we start to build funds in this account, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, but somebody could stand up at town meeting and propose an article to use those funds for something else, right?
So Well, so if you were, the money coming in from the billboards isn't building in an account, it's just coming into the general fund.
Yeah.
So it's just a general fund, it would just be a general fund revenue. Once you appropriate money, or the town meeting appropriates money into an article, then it's held for that purpose. The risk you run, I guess, is that in the future, they might not approve the article.
Okay.
We have a couple of articles where our goal is to keep the article at a certain level. So if we get to town meeting, say it's $25,000, we get to town meeting and we have $15,000 in the article, we only ask for 10.
Yeah.
You might work it that way, though I feel like with the popularity of the program,
Yeah.
we wouldn't really have that opportunity
I agree.
to treat it that way.
Yeah.
But
Okay. All right, is this something we need to
And
vote on? We probably should make a vote?
I just wanted to ask a
Somebody want-
question, point of
Yes.
clarification. Should the article that you're describing be approved at town meeting in March, would those funds become effective immediately, or would we have to wait until July 1st of 2023, the new fiscal?
So if it's a raise and appropriate article, you have to wait till July 1st. As a free cash article, it's available immediately. We should if it's going to become a regular sort of operating expense of the town, it really should be, we really need to look at the funding, what the funding source is going to be. I guess is the quick answer. I think in the initial year, kind of given where we're at, it makes sense for it to be a free cash article so that it's available immediately, since you have to wait. And then we'll just have to figure out what that right amount is to get us to the next town meeting.
And I think the upside to that as well is, to your point, Todd, it gives the board a chance to experiment with a larger pool of money and more of the applications all at once, sort of,
Right.
Instead of having to play the game of, we don't know what's coming next, so, we're a little bit more cautious in how we dole out the funds.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion for discussion if the board wishes to do that. I move that the EDC support a warrant article to establish the grant assistance program.
Zeph will second.
Okay. Any further discussion or comments? All right, then let's take a vote. Alexander, yes?
Bagden, yes?
Zeph, yes.
Robbins, yes.
Varro, yes. Leonardo, yes.
Williams, yes.
Kenny, yes.
Rayleigh, yes.
Great. All right, thank you all very much, and let's plan on having discussion maybe starting at the next meeting regarding the program and the rubric and how we want to allocate some time to that at our next meeting.
If we have to present, I guess we have to start thinking about how we show the benefits of the program, because at some point, if we're justifying dollars, then we're gonna have to show
Yeah.
this. It's not just as simple as we give
Right. I know there were some
$30,000
questions.
away.
Yeah, there
We
was
have
some.
we have to show some, look at the
Yeah,
coop,
and-
look at Cha-Cha Beans. We have to say things like that, I guess,
Yeah.
to really make sure people know what we're up to.
And actually, when is the town meeting? Is that in March?
Yeah, it's March, I think it's March 25th
Okay.
this year.
Okay.
But I think that's a good point, Mark. That was actually something that the Advisory Finance Committee, when we
Yeah.
were expanding the grant program, pressed us on, is what metrics we use to evaluate the grant making. I think that would be appropriate for a discussion at the next meeting to try
I think
and.
the next town meeting is gonna have a lot of budget discussions. I mean, I'm assuming with everything from the last couple, there's gonna be a lot of talk about where money's coming from and going, and anyone that just got a tax bill is probably gonna, show up less than happy about what they received in the house, so. If we start to, I'm just being honest, that's just what's happening, so.
So you would need, typically the Advisory Finance Committee, like Zach was just talking about, would ask you in early, so
Yeah.
we would need to be prepared for that early. Fred's actually presenting at our, we do an all-day budget summit where we pull in all the large departments and then departments that might have other sort of more notable changes, so that might be something that is on your presentation for the January 26th meeting.
Okay, great. So next on the agenda is a nomination for the EDC's Year in Review Award Celebration. Zach.
So polarizing.
It was painful.
Okay, now it's the fun part of the morning. Oh, I guess not anymore. Jinxed it. Uh, so it is the time of year where we consider who we're going to nominate for the EDC Year in Review Awards. For this year, or the sort of eligible period for consideration is from January 1st, 2022 to January 31st, 2022. I put together a longer list of businesses to consider for each award category. Generally, what I did was I looked at Permit Pro for certificates of occupancy that have been issued on commercial building permits in the past year, change of occupant permits that have been issued in the past year, and then also, myself and the working group put a lot of great thinking into this last year, and so I looked at our long list from last year to look at businesses that weren't recognized then, but might be appropriate to recognize now. Generally, I think it would be great if we could finalize the nominees at the meeting today. There are a couple award categories where there aren't a ton of nominees, so it might even be better to actually vote on specific awards for a couple of categories today, if possible. And then we may consider, or I would recommend that the board consider replacing the new large business award for this year with the Foodie Award. We haven't had as many large businesses on the scale of what we usually give the award to open this year, but we have had a many number of small businesses, specifically food service businesses, this year. And so that was an idea that Fred and I had kicked around. I'll go through this pretty quickly at first, and then we can go back one by one. For new large business, which recognize an exciting new business in our community that is not locally owned, a couple of notable ones. I think, in my opinion, one of the biggest ones is Marvel Semiconductor. They're a chip design company at 8 Tech Drive, and I believe they moved in early or middle of last year. Sotax Corporation is another larger company that has moved into Westborough recently. Accenture is a large company, but they only moved into 12,000 square feet of space, so I wouldn't necessarily put it on the scale of many other, large businesses that have moved into town. And then the last few here are really more like franchises or chain businesses, which qualify for the category because they're not local businesses, but aren't on the same scale of a large office or industrial user. So like Planet Fitness, Jersey Mike's, Kid Strong, the local gym, and Pet Medic. For the new small business award, as you can see, we've had a lot of activity here, and I think even this, long list probably fails to capture some of the awesome and exciting small businesses that we've had open in town over the last year. So I encourage the board to take a look at this list. If you have any other ideas, let's add them, let's discuss them. But this was my first pass based on mostly building permits that we have issued in the past year. So, we've got, as I said, a lot of food service businesses like the Coop, Cha-Cha and Beans, Main Street Pastries and more. Some retail and service businesses like Namizo Learning Labs, Play Now Toy, Lionsgate Spiritual and Wellness, Used for Venues, Simply Soho, and then some more kind of smaller, office-based users. So like Central Mass PT and Wellness, Winthrop Wealth, Sullivan Christ Financial, and then the law office of Sarah J. Shamsuddin. For new development project, which recognizes a business or developer for the most impactful construction or redevelopment project in Westborough, I think the only one to me, based on looking at the building permits and everything that stood out, was RAX, Randine Corporation. They've invested a lot of money and done, in my opinion, a very beautiful job remodeling the former R.G. Shakur building on Route 9, which is right next to Lowe's on the eastbound side. And we've also, or Fred and I have worked pretty extensively with the business owner lately, and they're, I think, a really good organization. For the Innovation Award, a couple of these are nominees from last year with the addition of Marvel Semiconductor. Ascent Elements is a battery recycler. So what they specialize in, and they're a startup based out of Worcester that I believe beginning in 2021, but they got their certificate of occupancy in 2022. They relocated to Westborough on Flanders Road. They focus, I would be remiss to describe all the technical details, but the main gist is that they have a really innovative way of recycling lithium ion. And so they use that to create more recyclable batteries. Inanio is an innovative healthcare business on Technology Drive. They focus kind of on integrating technology with, I guess, point of care delivery. And so, it's a pretty innovative care concept. They're also a larger business, which is nice. And then Marvel Semiconductor, which I mentioned previously for the new business award, is a chip design company. They've recently started to focus more on infrastructure as their end users and end markets. So, large telecommunications equipment or, large electrical equipment probably uses the chips that they design at Marvel on 8 Tech Drive, which seemed like a pretty good fit for the innovation category. For Civic Pride, which recognizes a business that has cultivated a reputation as a community partner and friend, what I've put here are the nominees from last year, which did not get considered for this award, or did not win the award: Avidia Middlesex Bank, Cervello CPA, James N. Ball and Company. And then I don't believe this award actually has to be a business, so I added Westborough Connects just now because I think, they've been around a while, and as we all heard today, have had a pretty large impact on strengthening our civic pride and our community overall. And then for Hall of Fame, which recognizes a longstanding Westborough business, about 10 more years of time in Westborough for the indelible mark it has left on our local economy. Again, here I put some of the businesses that were nominated last year, from Harvey's to the Central House, and then I added Classique Consignment, which has been downtown for I think 20 years now, and over the last year I've learned has a really strong reputation in the community. This is a great category where if anyone has any ideas, I've obviously not been in Westborough for 20 years, so if there are businesses that stand out that, we could recognize with this award, I welcome any suggestions or ideas. And then just before I, kind of flip back and we discuss these one by one, I wanted to remind everyone that what we had done last year and what my recommendation to do this year would be is to have the EDC pick the winners for the new large business, new small business, new development project, and innovation award, and then ask the public through a survey to pick the winners of the Civic Pride and the Hall of Fame awards. I thought that worked really well last year. We got way more responses than I could have imagined. I think the winner of the Civic Pride Award had like 450 votes or something on the survey. So I think the more that we can include the public, more it raises awareness about the EDC and the event, and also gives us a lot of good justification for who we give these two awards to. But now I will leave it to the board. If we want to start with new large business and discuss if there are any businesses that I've left out here that we could consider for nominations, and then pick maybe 3 to 4 to move forward with as a nomination, and then either vote on the winner today or hold that for the February meeting.
Anybody have any other ideas or comments as it relates to the large businesses?
Todd, if I may, I just want to make a general comment. Some of the push, if you will, for this is to also, if we're going to do a video and do it in a timely manner, we can't delay this process too long.
No, that's a great point.
I think the thought is that I think we did a proof of concept for the Great Hall last year, and it seemed to be fairly successful. Unless the committees have another thought, I suspect we're going to do that again this year. So Zach can coordinate that. But again, if we're going to do the video, we can't delay it much longer.
Right.
Just as a point of reference.
What was the date that we had discussed for?
We had said the end of
End of
March.
March, right,
Like
which
I believe
could
it
be
was
tight.
the 29th or the 30th off the top of my head. I have reached out to the former Lieutenant Governor-elect, now Lieutenant Governor's office. They have placed a tentative hold on that time. I would suppose if the board wanted to reconsider and push this back out to April, that is something that's still open for discussion. It's on my to-do list this week to check back in with the Lieutenant Governor's office to provide more detail and confirm the timing of the event, because I was told to do so after inauguration, which happened last week. So.
Yeah, and it might be, if you wouldn't mind, Zach, maybe reach out to Westborough TV as well and see if they have the capacity to do this in that time frame, because that could also impact our decision as to when we want to have it. Because I think the videos are fantastic. Everybody has, for the last few years we've been doing them, the feedback has been phenomenal. So I don't think we want to lose that aspect of the award ceremony. Any thoughts on the large businesses or anything you think we're missing or?
I have a quick question, and I don't have the rubric in front of me. What constitutes large business? Can you remind me, Zach?
Basically, exactly what's on the screen. The categories are relatively broad, but the main qualifier is that the business is not like locally owned.
Okay, so not size specifically.
Yes.
I mean, okay. Okay, thanks.
And for reference, last year, the business that won this category was Monroe Tractor. They're based out of, I believe, Rochester, New York. They are sort of a case equipment dealer. And to put into perspective size, I believe they employ about 30 to 35 folks in Westborough, although they did invest a significant amount of money in renovating the FIBA Technologies building.
So the other point, if I may, Todd, is to Zach's point, you could also take a few of these and clump them into a foodies. We used to do a foodies.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing that says we have to do just
Right.
these awards. You can always change them if the committee so desires.
One thing I wanted to point out is Sotax. They're a tenant of Caruth's at 2400 Computer Drive. They're a great Swiss-based company. They've grown here in Westborough, but they've been here probably at least 10 years. So
So-
I don't know if that's...
That would disqualify them technically, and I appreciate that. Again, this is the kind of context that I need from you guys, because all I saw was a certificate of occupancy, and I'm like, a company that I hadn't been previously familiar with, and so they seemed like a good fit. So thank you, Mark.
They,
for
they took the
clarification.
whole first floor of 2400.
Awesome.
So with that comment, what would constitute new then?
A business that hadn't previously operated in Westborough before this development,
Before their location here or
before their location here. Yes.
Okay, so Planet Fitness has been here a long time as well. Haven't they?
Yeah, they just opened
No,
at,
I think we might be
Ocean State.
Crunch
Well, I'm
Fitness?
confusing them with another fitness.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the Little Gym's been here a long time.
They
Nope,
just
they just-
opened in October.
Yeah.
They have a different location?
Years ago, it was a different
That's what I thought.
franchisee, and they
Oh.
were
They
down
did, yeah.
where New York Deli is.
Right.
Yeah, and then that closed.
Yeah.
And so this is a new group that's, yeah. I think that you can move, Marvel Semiconductor is in the innovation category, so I would kind of move them. And then I would tend to agree with the recommendation that, I don't know if it was a recommendation or an idea you guys had about doing the foodie category, and maybe we don't do a large business this year. Because I look at like, Kid Strong, Little Jim's a 7,000 square foot lease. Kid Strong's a 3,000 square foot lease. Jersey Mike's is a 2,200 square foot lease. So I know that large business means that it could be a national group, but when you look at the impact it had on town, I shouldn't say that. Look at the square footage that they occupy, it's not truly large. So,
I agree. The foodie category, if we look at our mission here and trying to draw people to
Yeah.
Westborough, it's a lot easier to make that case, I think.
Yeah, and when I look at this title, large business, I don't think of any of these companies as a very large business, for the same reason that Todd just pointed out. The only other thing you could do is call this a franchise business category, if
right,
you
we could
wanted
say
to
best
keep
new
that.
franchise.
Yeah,
Yep, we could certainly do that. Which isn't a bad idea, given the fact that, we are trying to promote the town, and it's not just about, local mom and pop owners.
To me, the only business in this category that truly fits, I think, the spirit of the award is Marvel Semiconductor, given the new information that Mark shared about Sotax. I think, to Todd's point, all of the other businesses don't, I think, occupy sufficient square footage to merit the award. And so I would be supportive of the EDC's decision to call this a new franchise award or a new foodie award. And I think my slight preference toward the foodie award, and I'll just flip to the next page because we do have a number of, food service small businesses that we could recognize, and then we could recognize another business here.
Yeah, we don't want to have too many categories.
Right. Well, we want to keep it to,
yeah.
I think we want to keep it to the same number
Yeah.
that we did last year.
Yeah.
Also keeping in mind the tremendous overhead that it takes to make the videos.
Right. Right.
adding a new category without removing one does significantly increase the work on already a tight time frame.
I think the franchise category, I'm trying to think of who the audience is that would think that was a plus, and I'm having a little hard time with that, but the foodie thing is a no-brainer to me.
Would it help to have maybe a downtown business category?
That's an interesting idea.
That's
Since
a-
we're trying to, kind of promote the downtown area?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people are, that don't come into town aren't really aware of what's in town that much. I mean, we all see what's on Route 9 going back and forth to work, but, as far as coming into town, unless I'm coming to a meeting or going out to eat at lunch, I really, and I can speak for a lot of people that occupy the offices, off of Route 9.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the other thing is these awards raise the profile of the business that receives the award. So I think a lot of these foodie businesses, downtown businesses, could really receive a boost from this award. Whereas the franchise businesses, Jersey Mike's doesn't need an award from Westborough, just to make a random point. But the small businesses, particularly in downtown, really benefit from this visibility.
And even
Yeah, I
if,
would agree. I like that idea a lot.
they had a little plaque, the winner of this award or nominee for, best small downtown business or something along those lines, they can put in their window or advertise, when they're in the local newspaper, right?
So two of the foodies are downtown
Right.
businesses.
Right.
If you wanted to go that way,
Right.
too.
No, I like that idea.
I think so.
Good idea.
Good idea.
All right.
So, does somebody want to make a motion that we will be replacing the new large business award with a new downtown business award?
How about the man with the idea?
I would like to propose that we replace the new large business award with a
Best downtown.
best downtown
or
business
new
award.
downtown business award.
Right, new
Yeah.
downtown business award.
Great.
I'll second that.
All right. Alexander, yes?
Bagdon, yes?
Zeph, yes.
Robbins, yes.
Varro, yes?
Leonardo, yes.
Williams, yes.
Kenny, yes.
Rayleigh, yes.
You like that?
So now Zach will quickly
Yeah.
bring up names
Then we gotta-
that are qualified.
Maybe going beyond our time here.
Okay, so then I'm going to get rid of these here, and I will bring in the businesses here that are downtown. I think this counts. Oh. Okay.
In the
And then I think I
the
forgot.
law office, too.
Yeah, Sarah
Zach.
Streamsatin.
Oh, yep.
Where is Lionsgate? Remind me of that
It's
again.
in 57 East Main Street, the E-Bridge Montessori
Okay,
building.
yep, got it.
And
So
then I'll
do
put
we
the-
consider Bay State Commons part of downtown?
Uh-huh,
I do,
definitely.
yep.
And you should include the little gym there. Oh, yeah, you got it.
Yep.
Thanks.
No worries.
If I can just chime in for a second, I'd like to add somewhere on the list, a Crystal Mine, the new gem shop on Route 9 in the old Landry's building.
Great call.
Yeah.
A nice space, it's a large space. It's,
I thought you said it was on Route 9.
This is the small business. Sorry,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
flipping around here.
in general.
See, you're jumping all around here.
And then any other additions to either the new small business or the new downtown business list?
The sports place would actually be downtown, wouldn't it, or no?
Oh, actually, yeah, you're right. If we're considering
Yeah.
Simply Soho
Because
downtown.
it's 69
we
Milk.
count. Yeah, good call. And then I also forgot to add Hall of Comics. Fred and I discussed this yesterday.
Yeah, it's
Um,
on Route 9.
Hall of Comics is their comic book store, but they used to operate in Southborough, and they relocated right next to New York Deli and Zelos Athletics.
Oh, how long have they been open?
About
Since
6
June-ish,
months, yeah.
Oh, my goodness, how did I miss that?
It's sort of off the, they don't have the greatest visibility.
No, the
Yeah.
Location's kind of tough.
Well, I'm curious as to what is in there. Not the comics, but they generally carry music. Comics don't generally carry music.
And also, you know, as I say this out loud, now that, or as I'm thinking about it, the new downtown business category could be a category that we let the public select as well, if you wanted to add that in.
I like that. I think more public involvement.
Maybe encourage traffic,
Yeah.
right?
No, we don't
Right.
do anything.
And to your point, Mark, it might let people know about all, you know, some of these new businesses downtown that they didn't know were there beforehand, so.
So if you're going to create a foodie category, some of these could go in that category as well. So that, for example, you've got a couple foodies right at the top of the list there.
That adds a category.
Yeah, I don't think we
Is
want
Yeah.
to,
this one
we
is
decided we
the-
didn't want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, I had thought, and I could have misunderstood, but that we would be replacing the new large business with either the new downtown business or the foodie category, and it seemed like the board had a preference for the new downtown business.
Oh, I didn't realize it was an or. Okay.
Sorry, my mistake. But we could send the public this whole list to vote on. If you think that's, I don't think it's particularly long. I wouldn't mind if folks took another second or two to make sure that there's nobody that we're leaving off that we may have forgotten.
So let me just clarify that, Zach. So the suggestion is to have, open all the categories to public?
No, just the downtown business category.
Well, that and the two other
And
ones.
the two other
other two
ones.
ones?
Yep.
I guess we should look to see who we gave a grant to in town, and make sure they're on there, you know?
If they
That
want.
is,
I think 3 of them, at least 4, 5.
she's not this past year. She was, I guess,
Count at least
2
5
years
that
ago
we
now
gave
at
money
this
to
point.
there, Mark.
Pardon me?
I think I count 5 we gave money to. Coop, Cha-Cha Bean, the Ismo Learning, Lion Gate, and the Soap Place.
No, but is there anyone we gave money to that's not on the list that is a new downtown business? I hate to leave them out if,
Yeah.
you
Well, I
know,
think some-
if they want a grant,
Yeah.
right?
There were some existing businesses, but I can't think of any more new downtown businesses.
Might be a good idea to look at the grant list, and if we were putting it out to the public, just add those names, just as a
Yeah, if you
Yes,
could just
yes.
double
advertisement. and
cross-check it
Yeah.
before you send it out. For any new business, obviously, there were a lot.
Do we have a perimeter that designates downtown?
Yes.
I mean, if.
Yeah,
if
we do.
six- Up to
CVS.
CVS and 69 Mill.
Yeah,
Well, I
Water
guess it
Street.
depends on how you define it.
Fisher
Usually, I
Street.
stick to what our defined vacant storefront district is, the Mass Vacant Storefront Program, which I believe is a combination of the downtown planning overlay district
Right.
and a few select properties on East Main Street running up to about the CVS, as folks have
The other
described.
side,
Yeah,
CVS,
CVS,
and that other plaza there, whatever you want, whatever it's called.
Let's just be clear about that. It's not the downtown planning overlay district, because that requires a vote at town meeting to add parcels. It's the downtown district. So if you look at a zoning map, it's the area within the red circle. So if you move along the main streets, it's on West Main Street, it's to the high school. On Milk Street, it's to the intersection with Fisher. On East Main Street, it's to Water Street. And on South Street, it's to Pine Street. So that kind of gives you an idea in your mind what the downtown is. So can you go to the small business slide, the
Yep,
next one?
Of course.
Okay, so you have some small businesses that could fit in both categories, downtown business or small business.
Which one do you see? I guess all of the downtown businesses could theoretically fit in the small business category.
Exactly.
But you were trying to move them over, right?
Right. I'm trying to move them over to spread some of the, I guess,
Spread the
love
wealth.
around.
So if someone's in the downtown, they can't qualify as a small business?
Presumably they could. You know, you could do whatever you want with it, I suppose. It would be my recommendation to try and give an award to a downtown small business and a business that's outside of downtown on, you know, on Route 9 or in Westborough Shopping Center or something like that.
Or just have the small downtown businesses also be in consideration for the
Small business
small
award.
business?
Yep, we
I
could do
mean,
that
they
too.
can, there's
Mhm.
nothing that prevent a company from being in, business from being in
Yeah.
more than one category. But if
But-
the public's voting on it, you know, I don't,
But we're choosing
Yeah.
the new small business, right?
Yes,
So
the EDC
Okay.
we
chooses
probably
that.
wouldn't want to choose that one and leave it in the
Right.
downtown business category.
You have to get a duplication.
oh, yeah, okay.
You really, we try not to get duplications of awards, generally.
And if we look at new small business, we could look at other businesses that came to us for grants that we didn't even help. I mean, I'm sure some of those businesses are still here, they didn't go anyplace, you know, they just didn't get the,
Yeah.
or we gave away $1,000 to a bunch of people, I can't remember all the,
Yeah.
the time we had 10 or 11 people here, there were 10 businesses that all, you know, probably qualify for one of these categories. And just, if we're looking to find
Right.
names, you know, just to.
I think the idea too is that, you know, we shouldn't be trying to find it. Like, I think the winners for these categories should stand out. Like, they should be
Yeah,
the
but
ones
sometimes I'm
that you
just saying
think of.
maybe there's a business we're not you know, that's not coming
Right.
to front of mind right now that might be, you know, like that place that's doing all the construction on Route 9 that took over that old building next to Lowe's
Yes.
and is doing a ton of work. I can't remember the name
That's
of that
Rax.
company right now.
That is
but yeah.
Rax.
That's
But-
Rax.
Yeah, but, you know, absolutely doing a beautiful job with that property as someone that doesn't know anything about it, you know.
What is the use
That was nominated. So Rax is, if I may,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rax is a commercial shelving company, if you will. They produce, I don't know they do any for residential, they may, but it's mostly for shelving units. Kind of like the key of commercial business, if I may, albeit I'm understating that.
I think they're a little bit higher end.
Yes,
than
they're much higher end than, but, yeah.
And it's
All right.
somebody who we were going to nominate last year, but they hadn't completed their project,
Right.
so we,
that's, I'm just, like I said, I was just kinda, you know.
yeah.
That's actually a family-owned business.
I thought it was gonna be a car dealership going
No,
in there.
we got plenty of those coming, but that's not that. So
Oh.
they design and actually design and then build the shelving system for commercial enterprises.
It's like a Closets Plus for
Yeah.
commercial.
And I'm certainly understating them.
Museum of Modern Art.
Right.
Level stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, it's high-end stuff.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
It's high-end
I
stuff.
believe they do actually use their racks in the like, so like when you're going to the MoMA and like there are things on like a rack or a shelf, it's made in Westborough,
Right.
from that company, but.
So should we
Zach,
vote
if I
on
can
that?
just interrupt for a second, is there a way to either get the video to screen down so those of us that are on Zoom can see? I can't see the screen anymore,
Oh,
your presentation. Thank you.
oh, okay, sorry. Wait, I think.
No, that's okay, thanks, that's helpful.
It's back now, right, Holly?
Yep, I got it, thank you.
Now, being mindful of time, I know this is always a tough decision to make because we're very lucky and privileged to have so many awesome businesses to recognize. For the Downtown Business Award, I will cross-check that with who we have either given an award or received an application for, and send this one out to the public to vote on, you know, by our next meeting, basically. For the new Small Business Award, I think it would be great to get this down to to 3 or 4 nominees that then, you know, I'll let you guys stew on. If there's anybody who comes up in the next month that we want to add at the last minute, we can do that, and then you would vote on this award in February. Are there 3 businesses or 4 businesses that stand out to me? And I don't want to, you know, dismiss financial services and industry, but I think that the smaller financial services companies like Winthrop Wealth and Sullivan Price are probably not the best fit for the award. And so I would encourage you to look at some of the more retail and sales and service businesses.
Is Lionsgate on another category?
Lionsgate is in downtown.
Oh, okay.
Are we whittling
That's
down
another
now,
good
Zach, is that what you're asking?
Yes, if we could whittle down now, and Kelly actually just made a good point, is one that we have not added is Torito.
New York pizza, New York pie, whatever it's called too. That's
Yeah.
not technically new, but it was Rotary Pizza. Now it's,
Yeah, they might have been prior to the previous year, but not that that matters necessarily.
yeah, I was just,
But yeah, does anyone have, or is there any one of these that we know we want to be a nominee? Like one that truly stands
Well-
out, and then we can work back from there.
I know the use for venues, I mean, it brings a different, just a different light to the town. It's in a weird spot, so it's not exactly downtown. It's kind of tucked over next to the tennis club and stuff over there. But I mean, the multicultural aspect of what it brings to town is something that, you know, if we're trying to celebrate the different parts of the town, I think it's something that definitely should be brought into the, you know, into what they do over there.
I like that.
It's a beautiful venue too for, you know, from the outside, it doesn't look like very much, but in the inside, they did a nice job fixing it up.
I'm going to highlight businesses that are mentioned. So right now, we have one nominee, Yusra, until anyone says otherwise.
I like
I-
Chorita Restaurant, I think, is another good one, too. That was a vacant, not your average Joe's. They came in and seemed to be doing pretty well. I would nominate them for consideration.
I would like to nominate a Crystal Mine and Play Now. They're both
Yeah, Play Now is a nice
Yeah.
family.
worthy of that.
Play Now
Unique
is a really
businesses,
cool store.
different.
Second, I'm sorry, if I may back up for a second. Downtown business too, I forgot the Shake Store. And is it
The
on
Shake
Summer
Store.
Street?
Oh,
Fire
Vivacity
Fox.
Nutrition.
You might want to think about, albeit I don't know.
I believe that they opened in 21, not 22.
Yeah, they're not new.
They opened the same time we did. So
Yeah.
So they were
like
outside.
September 21, maybe fall of
Right.
21 they opened. I mean,
Which would-
once again, if we want to play with dates, it's not I don't care who goes into what list.
What's the name of the shop?
Vivacity,
Vivacity.
Vicici,
Um,
Maggie owns it, she's not Maggie.
does anyone have any issue with these four as the nominees? Or do we want a motion to suggest that these are the nominees? The only one that I might feel a little bad about leaving out is Main Street Pastries and More. We did give them a grant. They do have kind of a cool story. And I know that it wasn't easy for them to get open, and so that might be one to consider. But I'm happy with this list. I think these are all four great small businesses.
I'm good with
If
those.
you look at the level of investment in the town and a challenged location and so forth, I think that was a worthy business.
I will highlight it. Do we want to take anyone off, or should we leave it as 5 nominees for now?
I think 5.
I think that looks good.
Okay, great. New development project. Now, this is one where I would hope and think that we might be able to give an award. Unless anyone has any other ideas, I think the spirit of this award is to recognize somebody for either a new construction or major redevelopment project. There are many new construction and redevelopment projects underway right now in Westborough, but they're much, I think, larger scale, and so they haven't been completed in 2022. This is the one that stands out to me. Fred and I brainstormed a little bit yesterday, and I might have missed one. I don't know if
Yeah,
there's any.
the only one that I might suggest you could add to that was Planet Fitness, and so we eliminated them on another one, because they did do a substantial amount of remodeling inside that mall area.
I think the Racks is such a good story, and it's kind of unusual that such a premium retail site was created as like a manufacturing type facility, and that building remained unchanged for 40 years. I think it's pretty impressive.
Yes.
And it's a good use for that building too,
Yeah.
because it's not connected to the SOAR.
Right.
And to
Correct.
connect to SOAR was almost an impossible task to do. So they were a very good use.
Not to mention from the video standpoint, it's very visual.
I'll make a
So-
motion that we award the best new development project to Rax.
We'll go with that.
Second, yeah. if he doesn't, yeah.
Any other discussion, comments? All right, Alexander, yes?
Bagden, yes?
Zeph, yes?
Robbins, yes.
Varro, yes?
Leonardo, yes.
Williams, yes.
Kenny, yes.
Rayleigh, yes.
Great.
down.
So we have our first winner. And that means, too, that we should be able to get a head start on at least one of the videos, which is good. Innovation. This is another one where, you know, if you want to continue to think about it, that's fine, but we might be able to make an award today. This award is for, you know, again, the description of the award is a little bit broad. A business that's really kind of leading the way in their industry. Ascend Elements. I think all the candidates here are really
I would
good
agree.
candidates. I don't know if anyone has anything else they want to add, or
In No Neo, what do they do again?
they're like a end-to-end, like they integrate technology into end-to-end healthcare. So if my understanding is correct, like what they do is like they use the technology to basically like bring the doctor like closer to the patient remotely. And it's like way more advanced than what I'm saying. Like there's, you know, there's a lot of like science and tech that goes into making that possible. But it would, in my opinion, qualify for the award because, you know, sort of innovative healthcare delivery has been a pretty big trend as of late, and they're definitely, I think, a leader in that space.
I've seen it. I've seen the product. I've got a tour of it. It is pretty impressive. It's like this, almost like small cabin that they create that you go in, and it's got all the medical technology inside of it, and then it's connected via electronically to a doctor, and you get a checkup right there. And I think he may have something going on with the senior center, I believe, or may have he's talking about doing some trials locally in town here. So it's easy for me to look at that one and say, oh yeah, I know Neo, because I know the thing. I don't know as much about the other two, but they all sound fully
I
qualified.
mean, that sounds pretty cutting edge and, you know, eye towards the future, which paints Westborough very well, I think.
If we could confirm they're actually working with the senior center, that would
Well,
probably.
I know that, I don't know that they've come
I
to an
mean,
agreement
you
to
know,
do
but
anything
if
yet.
we
He's
knew
also
that was
talked
happening,
about
it'd be an
wanting to
interesting-
do something with the school system here as well, so, I don't know where he's at in that. And, you know, it's still, there's a lot of research and development that's still taking
Yeah.
place with the product.
Would you say that's the most progressive of the three products?
I mean, I think they're all really
Yeah,
good
it's
candidates,
really-
and they all operate in very different spaces. So, like
Yeah.
Inanio's healthcare, Marvel Semiconductor is chip design, which, you know, is also something that's been really big and important recently, with like the you know, semiconductors and everything. And then Ascend Elements has a sustainability element, which I think, you know,
Right.
is important, especially given, you know, Westborough's community goals on sustainability and stuff like that. So I think they're all appropriate. While personally, for my logistic, I guess, sanity, I would prefer that the committee pick one today to award to, but I also understand that because some of these businesses and what they do might be a little bit foreign to some people, that it would be appropriate to take some time to think about who you might actually feel strongly about. You know, for some folks here, this might be the first time you're seeing some of these names up here. So,
Zach, did you say that Ascend recycles lithium?
yes.
So if I may on that one a little bit, they're on Flanders Road. They've been working on that for a little bit. They actually, if I understand it, some of the principals were actually WPI grads. And they have a facility in Texas somewhere and another one in Worcester maybe. So it's kind of spread out. This is one of their operations that are kind of in that whole process.
I think recycling lithium is going to be a significant issue
Yeah,
for everyone in this country
absolutely.
in the very immediate future.
Sounds like we're probably not ready to make an award
sounds that
today.
way.
And that's okay. But are we comfortable with these three nominees?
Yes.
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 Well, are we uncomfortable with making a nominee?
I'm
today?
not.
No? How about if we knock one out and make it a little easier, or?
We could do that too. Whatever you guys, whatever is
does
most
that help?
helpful.
Sure.
Well, I propose that we knock out Marvell, just because semiconductors are a pretty mature industry. It is innovative, and it's a, you know, always, you know, moving at, what is it, the Murphy's Law or whatever, every year it's twice as fast kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I would propose narrowing it down to Ascend and No Neo.
Yeah, I'd second that.
Okay.
Okay.
In terms of the investment in facilities, can you give us any contrast on that? Like how they look, how slick they might be?
I believe Ananio's been there since before I came to town, so I don't know how much they spent on that remodel. Ascent Elements, I defer to Fred.
Yeah, they had equipped it and stuff, so they redid the space. So I suspect it was a fairly sizable investment.
And Nanio is a sublease, and I think that, I don't know how much they've put into their space, other than the technology for the connection between the doctors and these pods. But if that's something you want to consider, then I would say Ascend has put much more infrastructure, capital improvements into their infrastructure. And because Ananio is a sublease, they may not be here when that sublease expires. They may decide to relocate.
Well,
So-
I know the chamber has the Eli Whitney Award, and one of the criteria is how much did you invest
Yeah.
in your facility, you
Yeah.
know? So, with that in mind, I'm leaning towards Ascend.
Yeah.
To agree with you.
I agree.
I agree. I also liked what Zach said about our community goals
Yeah.
related to
That's where it
sustainability.
kind of swung me.
Absolutely tie into that.
So can I put a motion to nominate Ascend Elements for the Innovation Award for the EDC?
I second that.
All right. Any discussion, comments? All right, Alexander, yes?
Bagden, yes.
Zeph, yes?
Robbins, yes.
Verow, yes.
Leonardo, yes.
Williams, yes.
Kenny, yes.
Rayleigh, yes.
2 down, Zach.
Great, awesome. They're in a great spot. That sounded sarcastic, but I'm serious.
The Zach Safety Award goes to
The last 2 categories, all we need to do here is just stack hands on the nominees. Civic Pride, these are the 4 folks that did not win the award last year, and with the last-minute addition of Westborough Connects, which I think is a very appropriate candidate for the award.
Can you just toggle back to the other category, the Hall of Fame, I think it is,
Yeah.
right? Because there are, there's Julio's, for example, I would consider for Civic Pride as well, but obviously we don't
We
want to
could do that too.
I don't think,
I-
then we run the risk of somebody winning 2 awards. I don't think we want
That's
to
a
do
good
that.
point, because it would be up to the public, so we should keep them separate. But
hard not to just go right to Harry's.
we could always move one from this category to Civic Pride if you'd like.
The farm we did.
But again, these are pretty much just who was nominated last year. And in this case, I added Classique Consignment because I've learned more about their business over the last year.
And these are the 2 that the general public's going to vote on, so
Yes.
since it won't muddy the waters for us, I'd like to add one to the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Caruth Capital. I think
Ah.
they've been here for well over 10 years.
I've been there
That's-
30. In case I haven't said that.
The one thing to be
Oh,
mindful
I
of,
never knew that.
and I believe the reason why we did not include Caruth, no offense, Mark, on the award nominations last year was because we were trying to not give an award to somebody who has already received one
Right.
in the past.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
Caruth has won twice, actually,
Yeah.
believe it or not. But I'm happy to leave them and leave it up to the public. Anything else for Hall of Fame?
Since you have the Central House, you probably should include JP's there.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning,
right.
actually. I wasn't sure how long they'd been there, but that's a good,
No,
and they're
they've
just
been
called
forever.
JP's Restaurant.
Central
30
House is
years,
amazing
40
stuff.
years.
The amount of people they fed through the pandemic and stuff at the Central House, the stuff they did behind the scenes was amazing.
I would take Caruth Capital off.
What's his name? The guy that runs that place is top notch.
We can leave it on for now.
He
But
feeds people on the side.
You know, as I look at Ferris,
You won
great,
too many times?
great business, but I don't see Mugford's there. And, I think they're
Yeah.
well along. in
Yeah,
their-
I thought that too, Dave.
That's a
Agree.
good one.
great point.
And the
Anyone?
more you involve, I guess, the more they're gonna share our link and try
Right.
and get people to vote for them, so it's all, it's a benefit to us to have a few extra names in there, I guess.
I will say last year too, I think the winners did share this a lot on social media, which is how we got as many votes as we did.
That's
Anyone else for Hall of Fame, or are we comfortable with this list?
It looks good.
I think it looks good.
That's a good representation.
Can I get a motion to move forward with the list here as presented?
I would
Or-
move to approve this list for the Hall of Fame nominees.
Second. Why not?
Alexander, yes?
Bagden, yes.
Zeph, yes?
Robbins, yes.
Varro, yes.
Leonardo, yes.
Williams, yes.
Kenny, yes?
Rayleigh, yes.
Great. Civic Pride, anyone else to add here, or, I think there are a lot of good candidates here. I wouldn't know who I would vote for personally, but
Who won this last year?
Art and Frame Emporium.
Norris Farm, did we gave
Norris
them
Farm
something?
won Hall of Fame.
They won a
Hall of
Hall of Fame one
Yeah.
last year.
Oh, Roach Brothers.
Oh.
Roach
Oh.
Brothers actually has won this award before,
Okay.
which is
Oh.
why they're not included.
Has Release Wellbeing won this?
No, I believe Release Wellbeing won new development project for
Okay.
their work on the Nathan Fisher House.
Okay.
And I'm not totally opposed to somebody who's won before winning again. I've just kept it this way because that was what the thinking was last year. And
I mean, you have things like if you look at Westborough Connects, you also have things like the Rotary that brought the lights and stuff into the downtown this year, which was like, unfortunate that they got bad weather for the lighting and the Santa Claus thing. But when you drive downtown, it looks really nice at nighttime. I know that once
a good
again, they're not a business, but yet they're every
And-
business. They're kind of
I
both.
think we want to, I would just say, I think we want to avoid starting to bring in a lot of different community organizations though, because I think that changes the flavor of what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
I agree.
that's what I was saying. It does both. It does not. a
I mean, I
business,
see what you're saying, but.
but it has multiple businesses.
How about Tatnick?
that's a good
They-
one.
I don't know how other people
Yeah, no,
feel about that. I know they have like that community room where they do stuff there, and
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yes, and so I'm looking at this, and it's really a business whose job is not, they have a business to run and they do civic work,
Yeah.
and that's who the award should go to, right? A business that does civic work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Westborough Connects, should that be on there, or?
well, I think they do. They do.
Right, no, I mean,
Give
what they do
civic-
is great,
Yeah.
but is it a business that
No, I mean,
does
I
civic
think
work,
I
or is
think
there
the point
business
is
civic work?
That if you
Right.
start talking about organizations, then what about the Civic Club?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a whole slippery
Yeah.
slope.
Chamber of Commerce, you know.
Right, so I mean, I think they deserve recognition, I just don't know if it goes in the business category, And I know at the perils of adding another category,
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I would be happy to go with whatever recommendation the board has on these.
I mean, is there
five.
something that is not a vote, that like every year is honorable mention on behalf of the committee, and it doesn't have to get any more complicated than that?
Just
Mm.
a comment on Westborough Connects. I think they are a business. They're a nonprofit business. They do have financial statements. They don't have space, but they are a business that's operating in Westborough. That's
Yeah, they're
yeah. They're
501(c)(3)
Yeah,
business,
exactly. Yeah.
There's a difference, I guess.
We do not, Dave, to answer your question, have like a honorable mention that we've done, to my knowledge, in the
Yeah.
past. I suppose it's something we could always do, but I think, it would be up to you guys if that's something
Mhm.
you want to incorporate. And I'm trying to be mindful of time. It is 9:31. So how do people feel about about these six, either with or without Westborough Connects? It sounds like it's kind of the main sticking point at this point. Does
Is-
anyone want to make a motion either way?
Is there anything that any one of these companies, businesses did that put them on the map, did something that in 2022 that was particularly noteworthy?
In the last, in that particular time frame,
Right. Well-
no, I didn't use
Oh.
that as an input. I think these are the businesses that when we were discussing last year, like who are the people that regularly, sponsor community events, donate to the food pantry, take leadership roles in the community. These are just those names. I don't imagine that it would really change all that much year to year.
Right.
Yeah, so to answer your
So
question,
nothing
no.
that stood out, right, it just because that would help narrow it down.
Well, I mean, I think Todd's suggestion of Tatnick is a good one because they try to be a catalyst whereby, blood drives, community room, Kelly has Westborough Connect meet there, all sorts of things like that. So, I mean, that's what I think the essence of this award is, who's a catalyst for, community pride, civic pride, that type of thing.
Motion to move forward with the 6 names we have currently for the Civic Pride Award.
I would second that.
All right. Alexander, yes?
Bagden, yes.
Zeph, yes?
Varro, yes?
Nardo, yes.
Williams, yes.
Kenny, yes.
Rayleigh, yes.
Great. I think then we are done for now, and I will have an update for everyone at the February meeting. I believe I
You're
am
up
next on
next.
the agenda, but I will try and
Yep.
speed through this, if I can find my cursor. I just wanted to give folks a brief update on and get your input. And I think given the time constraint today, this might be something we can discuss further at the next meeting, but on the night market project. So, I've been brainstorming, I've talked to Holly offline about, her ideas. And I think the night market project could come down to one of 2 things, option A or option B. Option B is a more traditional sort of bazaar style market as a pilot project somewhere in a space downtown. So either Bay State Green or maybe the Forbes building inside where local businesses, Westborough businesses could set up stalls, and it would be like a, Discover Westborough businesses or like a Taste of Westborough businesses type event where all the businesses are in one central location and people go to that location. Would look something similar to like the SOWA Winter Market or, a farmer's market. Option A, or I guess option B is interesting, exciting, but would probably require a lot of work. Option A is that there are several downtown businesses, of which 2 of our EDC members are a part of, that have already been doing some extended hours. I think it's on Thursday nights, but like they do extended hours, once in a while, and there's been a little coordination between some of these businesses. The option A idea would be for the EDC to play more of a leadership role in coordinating and marketing those Thursday nights when some of the businesses are stayed open, to go around and do outreach to other downtown businesses and, encourage them to stay open on maybe that one night a month, and then, brand it as downtown's open late or, something more pithy when I have more time to think about it, and call the Westborough Night Market really like a once a month or, once a quarter. These businesses are going to be open, from 6 to 8, on this night, and really try and market it and promote it and bring some energy downtown on one of those nights. So those are the 2 options that we're thinking of. The reason why I put the slide together and wanted to talk about it today was to get your feedback and input on which direction we might want to go or what you think is most valuable or helpful. But we can have that discussion now, but I imagine that folks have other places to be. We're already over time. If we want to table that for next meeting, I'm comfortable with that as well.
I think maybe we should table it just for time, because I think we just found out that we're not going to be doing grants in the next quarter, so this might be a chance for us to slide that into where the grant time would be in the next meeting or so.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Good idea.
You
Great.
all right with that?
I'm not trying to, drive, but
If everyone's comfortable with that, I will sit down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
you're welcome, Zach.
Next is the Planning Department report from Jim.
Sure, I'll move really quickly. The planning board approved a special permit for 80 Turnpike Road, which is Stone Inc. It's a stone fabrication company. They make countertops and stone-related products, so they'll be fabricating marble and granite, things like that, at the 80 Turnpike Road. Building's currently vacant. At the next planning board meeting next Tuesday, the board will approve a site plan for 180 to 182 Turnpike Road, which is a new Hyundai dealership. The property includes the easement for the B-Walt Trail, and the owners are going to work with us to make sure that the easement remains open for the purposes of the B-Walt. The Master Plan Implementation Committee's next meeting is Monday, the 23rd of January. The committee is working on prioritizing the goals outlined in the master plan. That is a public meeting if anyone's interested. The planning board will have 2 zoning articles at the town meeting in March. The first is the recodification of the zoning bylaws, which is basically just a reorganization, reformatting of the bylaws. We hired General Code to do a review and made recommendations, and our zoning review committee has been reviewing their edits, and the document is in a position now to go to town meeting. We will also be presenting a signage article, which this group talked about a couple months ago, transferring the signage review in the historic district and in the downtown solely to the design review board. Also in that article, we'll be allowing projecting signs or placard signs in the downtown. That was something that this committee was very much in favor of. I sent those articles to Christie yesterday for the warrant. And then on a personal note, last thing I want to say is I've officially announced my retirement. My last day with the town will be March 31.
Well, thank you for all you've done for this town, Jim, and I know you've, I can't remember a time when you weren't here, to be honest with you. So it's gonna
Been a
be
long time.
strange.
Been a long time.
But you've accomplished a lot, and we appreciate all you've done. So.
Yeah, it's been a joy serving this committee, and it's been exciting to see how it's evolved since its inception, probably like 14 years ago. Been a long time to see how far it's come. We give money to people now. It's pretty amazing. Something we didn't do and we didn't envision when the committee was begun. It was basically an outreach to let people know about the permitting process, help people get through the process, and basically let businesses know that we are here to help them.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way.
Yeah. Again, thank you for all you've done.
Thanks.
Actually, I've got a question. I don't know if it's for you or Fred about the West Park Drive extension. That work has started, right?
Yes.
And when do they have an estimated completion date for that?
End of June.
End of June. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. Community Development Department report. Zach and Fred.
For new businesses, Elite Dental, right on West Main Street downtown, has been issued a certificate of occupancy. Amada Senior Care, previously located in Westborough Shopping Center, is relocating to 22 Summer Street, which is great. We retained them. Tribos Peri Peri should be close to getting approval at some time, hopefully within the next month. Regarding EDC programs, on December 8th, the Economic Assistance Coordinating Council, or EACC, approved a $7,500 matching tax credit award for Wayback Burger's new location in Bay State Commons. So that mass vacant storefronts project was successfully approved. We, about a week ago, finished the Shop Westborough Holiday Passport promotion. Ultimately, I think the program was a moderate success. I'm not, we're still taking in feedback. We released a business survey, and the results are coming in. I'm not certain that it is worth the significant time and effort and work that went into the program for us to consider doing it again. Perhaps it might be something that we dovetail into the winter stroll. But ultimately we received 21 completed Shop Westborough holiday passport cards, and we're working with the promotion winners now to get them prizes. So far on the survey, about 40% of the businesses said that they would participate again. Nobody said that they wouldn't, but I think that the balance have said that they would maybe participate again, should changes be implemented to the program. Additionally, the town of Westborough, in a joint application with the town of Acton, won a $40,000 grant through the Regional Economic Development Organization, or REDO, program to implement a pop-up project, or a storefront activation project with a pop-up in each community. We are still working right now with the 495 Metro West Partnership, Acton, and a consultant partner to finalize contracting details, but we do expect to move forward with that project and implement it in the next year. Regarding events that are coming up, right after this meeting at 10 a.m., Mass Econ is doing their annual Massachusetts Economic Outlook. I typically join. I think it's a great overview of the state of the economy more broadly. I would encourage any of you to do so if you would like, and I'll forward the link to everyone right after this meeting. On January 19th, the 495 Metro West Partnership is having its, I believe, monthly Regional Economic Development Working Group. On January 19th, the Corridor 9495 Chamber of Commerce is having a ribbon cutting for Simply Windows to celebrate its 1-year anniversary on East Main Street. On the 21st of January, the Corridor 9495 Chamber of Commerce is having a small business owners roundtable. And then on the 25th of January, the Metro West Chamber of Commerce is having a ribbon cutting for Lionsgate Spiritual and Wellness Center. Fred, do you have anything else to add?
No, you've got it all.
Great.
All right. Any questions for Zach? All right. Thank you, Zach. Other business? Mark?
Last meeting, we had discussed letting people know where they could go when they move into Westborough before they sign a lease.
Yeah.
So they don't get grease trapped when they go to Westborough.
I like that.
And
Don't
so
get
I
grease
did
trapped.
contact CoStar, which CoStar and LoopNet are the real, drivers of commercial business. And I spoke with Chris Murray, and he said they would not do that, and that their advertising is specific only to a particular property.
Yeah.
And he gave an example, instead of, let's say if you're an appraiser, and you say, hey, I want you to go with ABC Appraisal, they said they don't do that, so it has to be
Yeah.
property specific.
All right. Well, we talked about doing something with the billboards, and maybe there's other opportunities,
Zach-
obviously. Like
Zach
social
put some
media
stuff
and
on the social media page
Yeah.
already about, checklist of opening small business. It was, at least something to kind of launch people.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for looking into that.
Thank you.
Any other
Oh.
business?
I guess on that note, we have started, or Fred and I have started using the business one-stop meetings for more, I guess, pre-lease signing things. We had one last week with a business that's well before signing a lease, and then we're actually having another next week with a business that is looking at a few properties in town, but we think it'd be helpful to meet with them before they and discuss all of those properties and make sure that they know what's ahead of them, before they sign the lease. So we've been trying to use that more to capture that pre-lease signing type of business.
And pre-development. Those meetings are great, by the way. I mean, they're really valuable.
That's what we want. I think that's what we want at the end of the day, is we want people to come here and succeed and grow and stay, I guess. So that's, just putting people on the right foot makes them want to stay, I think, and that's important. So thank you.
Christy, what's the latest on the lawsuit with the cinema?
I don't really have anything to
No,
report.
there was wasn't there a hearing on the 8th of
On the
December or something?
22nd.
Okay, so that was
We don't-
continued?
We don't have a decision.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? All right, thank you all. Can I get a
Motion to
please?
adjourn?
Yeah. All right, Alexander, yes?
Bagden, yes.
Zeph, yes?
Robbins, yes?
Varro, yes?
Leonardo, yes.
William, yes.
Kenny, yes.
Rayleigh, yes.
Oh, they're still there. I didn't know. That one turned off, so I didn't see it.
All right, thank you all very much. We'll see you next month.
Oh, thanks very much.
Thank you.
I was gonna say something, but I read it in the paper.